Today I'm going to teach you the chapter power sharing. If you like my video, please subscribe my channel and like my video, studyhelper.com.
Important points. When many countries of Europe came together to form the European Union, Brussels was chosen as its headquarters. Ethnic, a social division based on shared culture. People belonging to the same ethnic group believe in their common descent because of similarities of physical type or of culture or both. They need not always have the same religion and nationality. Civil war, a violent conflict between opposing groups within a country that becomes so intense that it appears like a war. Prudential, based on prudence, or on careful calculation of gains and losses. Prudential decisions are usually contrasted with those decisions based purely on moral considerations. Majoritarianism, a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants, by disregarding the wishes and needs of the minority. Belgium. Geographical position, small country in Europe, bordered by the Netherlands, France, Germany and Luxembourg. Area and population, smaller in area than the Indian state of Haryana, population a little over 1 crore, half of the state of Haryana. Ethnic composition, 59% live in Flemish region, speak Dutch. 40% live in Wallonia region, speak French. 1% speaks German. Capital, Brussels. 80% speaks French, 20% speak Dutch. Sri Lanka. Geographical position, a small island in Asia, off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. Population, same as Haryanas, about 2 crore people. Ethnic composition, 74% Sinhalese-speaking people, 18% Tamil-speaking people, 13% are natives of Sri Lanka, known as Sri Lankan Tamils. The rest are called Indian Tamil, who are descendants of plantation workers, who came from India during the colonial period. Religion, most of the Sinhala-speaking people are Buddhists, most of the Tamils are Hindus and Muslims. Christians constitute 7% of the population and they belong to both Sinhala and Tamil communities. Q. What is communal politics? A. When the demands of one religious group are formed in opposition to another and when state power is used to establish domination of one religious group over the rest, this is called communal politics. Q. What is the system of checks and balances in power sharing? A. Under this system, one organ of the government keeps the check over the other. None of the organs can exercise unlimited powers. This keeps a balance of power among various institutions. Q. What is a coalition government? A coalition government includes members of different political parties and normally appears during crises, such as war and political breakdown. Q. What is power sharing? A. Power sharing is a technique to share the power at different levels. Q. What are the different forms of power sharing in modern democracies? Give an example of each of these. A. The different forms of power sharing in modern democracies are: A. Horizontal division of power. 1. Under the horizontal power sharing, power is shared among different organs of government such as the legislature, executive and judiciary. 2. Under horizontal distribution of power, organs of the government are placed at the same level to exercise different powers. 3. Each organ checks the other organ. B. Vertical division of power. 1. It is a system of power sharing among governments at different levels. In India, there are 3 levels of governance. 1. Central government, government for the entire country. 2. State government. 3. Local bodies, municipalities, gram panchayat, etc. 2. The vertical division of power involves the highest and the lower levels of government. 3. Under vertical power sharing, the lower organs work under the higher organ. C. Division of power among different social groups. Power can also be shared among different groups which differ socially, like different religious and linguistic groups. For example, the community government in Belgium, the system of reserved constituencies in India. Such an arrangement is used to give minority communities a fair share in power. D. Political parties. No political party enjoys power forever. With the emergence of coalition gov, many parties share power at the same time. E. Pressure groups and movements. Pressure groups and movements have share in power by exerting pressure on the government by various means and get policies framed in their favor. Q. What is meant by horizontal distribution of power? Explain giving examples from India. A1. Under the horizontal power sharing, power is shared among different organs of government such as the legislature, executive and judiciary. 2. Under horizontal distribution of power, organs of the government are placed at the same level to exercise different powers. 3. Each organ checks the other organ. For example, in India, the ministers and government officials exercise power. They are responsible to the parliament or state assemblies. Similarly, although judges are appointed by the executive, they can check the functioning of executive or laws made by the legislatures. This arrangement is called a system of checks and balances. Q. What is meant by vertical distribution of power? Explain it with reference to India. A1. Vertical distribution of power is a system of power sharing among governments at different levels. In India, there are 3 levels of governance. A. Central government, government for the entire country. B. State government, government for a particular state. C. Local bodies, municipalities, gram panchayat, etc. 2. The vertical division of power involves the highest and the lower levels of government. 3. Under vertical power sharing, the lower organs work under the higher organ. Q. Explain the 2 main reasons why power sharing is important in a democracy. Or write 1 prudential and 1 moral reason for power sharing. Or give 3 reasons for why power sharing is desirable. A. Prudential reason, to avoid conflicts. 1. Reduces conflicts between social groups. 2. Stability of political order. 3. Better outcome. Example, in India, seats have been reserved in legislature for...
This question is mostly asked in the question papers of schools and boards.
Example, in India, seats have been reserved in legislature for the socially weaker sections, keeping in mind this prudential reason for power sharing. B. Moral reason, spirit of democracy. 1. It is the spirit of democracy. 2. People have the right to participate in political affairs. 3. The citizens can come together to debate and criticize the policies and decisions of the government. Example, Anna Haz's fight for the Lokpal Bill. 1.5 marks for each reason. Q. Why in a democracy should political power be distributed? A. People are the source of all power. B. People rule themselves through institutions of self-governance. C. Due respect is given to diverse groups and views. D. All have a voice in shaping public policies. E. If power is concentrated in one...
This question is also asked in question papers well.
E. If power is concentrated in one hand, there can be misuse of power, thereby leading to dictatorial rule. Q. What is the difference between the policies adopted by Belgium and Sri Lanka regarding power sharing?
This question is also important.
Q. What is the difference between the policies adopted by Belgium and Sri Lanka regarding power sharing? Arrangement. A. Belgium. Sri Lanka. 1. They adopted a policy of power sharing. 1. They adopted a policy of majoritarianism. 2. They gave equal powers to all communities. Minority and majority doesn't matter. 2. They gave preferences to the majority Sinhala group alone, disregarding the minority Tamils. 3. The Belgium solution helped in avoiding the civic strife. 3. The majoritarianism in Sri Lanka led to the civil war. 4. There was mutual acceptance of the power sharing arrangements. 4. It undermined the unity of the country. 5. This arrangement avoided a possible division of the country on linguistic lines. 5. The civil war led to social, cultural and economic setback. Q. What is majoritarianism? How has it been adopted in Sri Lanka? Or what is majoritarianism? How has it increased the feelings of alienation among Sri Lankan Tamils? Explain with examples. Or why do the Sri Lankan Tamils feel alienated in their country? Or state the basic reasons for the tension, civil war, between Sinhala and Tamil-speaking people in Sri Lanka. A. Majoritarianism is a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants, by disregarding the wishes and needs of the minority. Sri Lanka adopted a policy of majoritarianism. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community enjoyed a bigger majority in 1956, an Act was passed by the Sri Lankan government to establish Sinhala supremacy. The provisions of this act were I. Sinhala to be the official language of Sri Lanka. E. Preferential policy of Sinhalese in government educational institutions and jobs. I.e., a new constitution stipulated that the state shall protect and foster Buddhism. Thereby the Sri Lankan Tamils felt alienated. By 1980s, several political organizations were formed, demanding an independent Tamil Elam state in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. The distrust between the two communities turned into widespread conflict. It soon turned into a civil war. Q. Describe with examples the way in which power can be shared among different social and linguistic groups. A. Power can also be shared among different groups which differ socially, like different religious and linguistic groups. A. The community government in Belgium is an example of power sharing among the linguistic groups. The community government is elected by people belonging to one language community, Dutch, French and German speaking, no matter where they live. B. The system of reserved constituencies in India is an example of power sharing among the different social groups. C. Such an arrangement is used to give minority communities a fair share in power. Q. Describe any three demands of the Sri Lankan Tamils. How did they struggle for their demands? Or what were the consequences of the majoritarian measures adopted to establish Sinhala dominance over the Sri Lankan Tamils? A. The Sri Lankan Tamils launched parties and struggles for A. The recognition of Tamil as an official language. B. Regional autonomy to the provinces populated by the Tamils. C. Equality of opportunity in securing education and jobs. By 1980s, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil Elam state in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. The distrust between the two communities turned into widespread conflict. It soon turned into a civil war. As a result, thousands of people of both the communities have been killed. Many families were forced to leave the country as refugees and many more lost their livelihoods. The civil war has caused a terrible setback to the social, cultural and economic life of the country. Q. Explain how Belgium was able to solve her ethnic problem. Belgium is a small country in Europe with a population of little above 1 crore out of total population. 59% who live in Flemish region speak Dutch, 40% who live in Wallonia region speak French and 1% is German speaking. In the capital city Brussels, 80% people speak French and 20% people speak Dutch. The minority French-speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. This was resented by the majority Dutch-speaking community who got the benefit of economic development and education much later, leading to tensions between the two communities. For accommodating the interests of the majority and the minority, Belgium adopted an innovative system of power sharing. A. Equal minister for both the groups. Equal number of ministers from Dutch and French-speaking areas in the central government. B. More power to state government. Transfer of power from the central gov to the state gov of the two regions. State gov will not be A. subordinate to the center. C. Special laws requiring support of majority from each linguistic group. Some special laws require the support of majority of members from each linguistic group. D. Equal representation at state and central level. Separate government in Brussels with equal representation for the French and the Dutch. The French-speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch-speaking community has accepted equal representation in the central government. E. Formation of community government. Apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government, the community government, elected by people belonging to one language community, Dutch, French and German speaking, no matter where they live. This government has power regarding culture, education and language-related issues. Q. What were the two main causes of resentment in Belgium in 1960? How was the conflict solved? The minority French-speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. This was resented by the majority Dutch-speaking community who got the benefit of economic development and education much later, leading to tensions between the two communities during the 1950s and 1960s. The tension between the two communities was more acute in Brussels. Brussels presented a special problem. The Dutch-speaking people constituted a majority in the country, but a minority in the capital. For accommodating the interests of the majority and the minority, Belgium adopted an innovative system of power sharing, same as above. Answer Q. Explain any three main features of the new constitution of Belgium. Or explain the power sharing arrangement in Belgium. A. The power sharing model is to be explained, same as above. Answer Q. How many times was the Belgium constitution amended between 1970 and 1993? Mention any two positive effects of power sharing arrangements is Belgium. A. Between 1970 and 1993, the Belgium constitution was amended 4 times so as to work out an arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country. The arrangement they worked out is different from any other country and is very innovative. The two positive effects of power sharing arrangements is Belgium are: A. This helped to avoid civic strife between the two major communities. B. It also avoided a possible division of the country on linguistic lines. Q. What is common between Indian and Belgian form of power sharing arrangements? A. Both India and Belgium have a federal form of government where power is shared among governments at different levels called the federal form of government as in Belgium, or the central or union government as in India. E. Power in both the countries is also shared among different social groups, such as religious and linguistic groups. Community government, in Belgium, and reserved constituencies, in India are good examples of power sharing among the different social groups. Q. What are the demerits of power sharing?
This question is also important.
Q. What are the demerits of power sharing? A. 1. Delays and conflict during decision making. 2. Overlapping of work, leading to confusion. 3. Overlapping roles lead to corruption. 4. Unnecessary competition in different regions. 5. It leads to the widening of gap between rich and poor. Co. Is the political system in Belgium innovative and different from the other countries of the world? Explain any 3 points. A. Equal number of ministers for both the groups. The Belgian constitution prescribes that the number of Dutch and French-speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. Some special laws require the support of majority of members from each linguistic group. Thus, no single community can take decision unilaterally. E. More powers to state governments. Under the proper power sharing arrangement, many powers of the central government were given to state governments for the 2 regions of the country. The state governments were not subordinate to the central government, i.e., equal representation at the state and the central level. A separate government has been set up at Brussels in which both the communities have equal representation. If formation of community government, apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government, i.e., community government. This community government is elected by the people belonging to one language community, Dutch, French and German speaking, no matter where they live. This government has the powers regarding cultural, educational and language related issues.
So you like my video too? Please subscribe my channel.